All right. What is up, everybody? We are back. Let me get rid of that. There we go. So we're back, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Kiss Meets the Podcast 4K, the Crazy Kiss Countdown. You wanted the best. I am one of your hosts, Chubby Chuckles.
And I am the other host, the one that has the thing with the stuff. Yeah.
The thing with the stuff.
That's exactly right.
So again, congratulations to Luke and our other great co-host Savannah for the newborn baby. They had their baby boy what's it been, a week already almost?
Yeah.
Crazy. So how's things going? How's fatherhood?
It is very interesting and very different. I'm glad we waited as long as we did to do it. However, we were just talking earlier today about how sleep deprivation is hitting a little different than we expected. I think I would have handled that a little better if I were younger.
Yeah, that's the one thing, man. But super cool. So yeah, he made a little cameo already earlier before we started. So who knows? You guys may see him pop up again before the show's over here today. But we've already asked him to give his rankings on this album too, so we're expecting those after he gets his diaper changed.
Right. Well, yeah, pretty much all he does is poop at the moment, so hopefully that doesn't have a negative effect on the rating.
Well, like father, like son. So.
You're right. Fair point.
Man, hope everyone's doing great. Happy holidays. Believe it or not, it's hard to believe that we're a week from Christmas too as we sit here. It's definitely been a little tough to be in the spirit this year based on everything, but trying and trying to get in that jolly spirit as much as I can. But so this week we are here to do Music from the Elder. Definitely one of the kind of cult favorite albums that has become a cult favorite over the last 10, 20 years. It's definitely a love it or hate it type of album. So we'll definitely get into that here soon. And then, of course, we got a little catching up to do with all of our usual stuff. Just wanted to hit on a few things. We had been promoting the Kiss My Black Ass book by Anthony X. Have been in the process of reading it, definitely enjoying it. Been in talks with Anthony, and then he is going to be coming on the show I'd say probably within about a month or so, because he wants to start on the Animalize episode, which I'm assuming is roughly about a month away at this point. So be looking out for that. He's going to be coming on with us, and he may become a little bit of a regular face because again, with Luke and Savannah just having the baby, we're obviously not going to be seeing Savannah as much right now, but I'm sure there'll be times that she does, pop on and if she gets a chance, and but totally understandable, and she's definitely still a big part of the show, and I'm sure she'll interact as much as she possibly can right now. So we'll just be bringing in some special guests here and there to kind of help fill that spot. And we were going to have Chris from Kiss and Tell on today. Unfortunately, he had some other things going on today. Understandable. Speaking of Kiss and Tell, go check out their page. Yours truly was a guest on their Christmas special this past weekend. That was a fun episode to be a part of. A lot of really cool topics that got covered, and Kiss trivia, all that kind of stuff. It was really fun. Just to it was definitely like a party. I think there were like 6 of us on there all together, and so go check it out. It was pretty fun, and hopefully Luke and I will be on there together again at some point. And Carolina Metalhead, got to finally meet him. I want to say in person, but what I mean by that. Finally got to meet him, and got to talking to him. So it was cool to do that, and we're going to be interacting with him at some point as well. Let's see. So the Kiss New Year's Eve show. There has been a little bit more news about that. Not to mention the pictures of the the pretty impressive staging that they're building right now. Right now, it's still basically just the skeleton of the stage, but already an impressive size. So if anyone has doubts still after looking at those pictures that they're going to go big, I don't know how you can second guess that just by looking at the picture.
Right.
But they recently just came out and announced today on kissonline.com that everyone that purchases the Kiss 2020 Goodbye ticket, you get entered to win a Smash guitar from Paul or an Axe guitar from Gene or 2 Ultimate Kiss Army End of the Road tour experiences. So apparently if you have already purchased your ticket, you're already entered. And then for all of us that are going to be buying a ticket, I assume it doesn't matter whether it's the 30, the cheapest one, all the way up to the, if you buy a ticket period, the way it sounds, you're entered in this contest. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So good luck to everyone with that. And, I'll be sure to take one of you with me when I win the backstage tours. So yeah, just saw that on Kiss Online today. Couple other quick things. I ran across this magazine at Barnes & Noble the other day. I don't even think I was aware this was out, but it's put out by the Classic Rock magazine, Classic Rock Archive, and it's a issue all about Kiss.
That's cool.
Almost 150 pages, just a lot of cool stuff from the whole, all the years of Kiss and all kinds of articles. I haven't got a chance to look at it. Found that, and then also stumbled across a Eddie Van Halen tribute magazine.
Awesome.
So had to pick that up. So be sure to get out to your Barnes and Noble or wherever sells magazines that have a good enough selection, and grab those up. So definitely worth the look and read. So I think that kind of covered all the extra stuff on the side that I wanted to get into since we have been gone for a week or so. But so let's just go ahead and get it going and get caught up here.
Cool. So let's take a look at some comments. Big shakeup in last week's rankings, actually. So thank you, everybody, for your input. We got all that stuff put in. So first comment is from Rust Belt, which is actually our good buddy Mike 100,000 Watts from Kiss and Tail. About 6 days ago, asked if we were doing another episode tonight. No. Nope. Busy having a baby. Well, not me personally. That was super weird. We also got a comment from Anthony X. He says, 80s Kiss is my favorite era. My top 5 Kiss albums of all time are, in order, Lick It Up, Asylum, Crazy Nights, Animalize, and Hot in the Shade. Very good to see that. I'm right there with you, man. Right there with you.
Yeah, matter of fact, like I left off I'm on the Peter Criss solo album, and he gets into Hot in the Shade as he's kind of talking about that and about how people. It's really interesting once you get there, and I totally agreed with what he says. Like there's, it sounds kind of odd, but I was feeling a lot of similarities in some of the, viewpoints that we have with things, and so pretty cool. Definitely excited to have him on and talk more in depth about it.
Absolutely, yeah, yes. He also said Unmasked would probably fall in the 11th place. It's a great pop album by the band from beginning to end, and I love the production, and Anton's drumming is a major highlight on this album. I would give it a 9. My top 3 are What Makes the World Go Round, Tomorrow, and Shandy.
Nice.
Another comment from Mike 100,000 Watts says, Kiss rules, so does Kiss Meets the Podcast. Yes. Chuck McFarland says, I agree 100% that Kiss needs to change the set list a bit for the live New Year's Eve show in Dubai. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hoping they pull out some real weird stuff, because why not? Why not?
Absolutely, yeah.
You don't need to make the whole show weird stuff, but throw a couple of curveballs.
Yeah. It's like I said before, treat this like the cruise. Since we didn't have a cruise, and think of it as all the diehards are the ones that are going to be ordering this thing. So, there you go.
Yes. Quite a few comments from Robbie Stars, good old Rabble. Robbie says Peter had to finish out his contract to leave the band to qualify to get royalties for being on the cover and Shandy video. Peter actually got royalties up until the Animalize era. It's in his biography book that I read last year. Great episode.
Thank you, man. So kind of similar to Ace, kind of fulfilling those duties with the Creatures, doing like the press conferences and photo shoots and all that.
Right. And who wouldn't want to be included on that album cover? I mean,
yeah.
That was a cool one.
I'm surprised. Oddly enough, this is the album we're doing today, Elder. With the way that made him feel, you would think with what he heard with Creatures that he would be like, I kind of changed my mind.
Yeah, no kidding. Robbie also says, this is his true confession for the Unmasked episode. He says, listen to Joe Walsh's song Tomorrow. It sounds exactly like Shandy. The album cover wasn't meant for Kiss to stink or suck like many people think. It was all about how pissed the media was trying to get photos of them without their makeup, and the comic on the front cover was just mocking the media because they were jealous. Plus, it's my third favorite album cover, and Naked City is my favorite Gene song with Unholy.
Very cool. I think it's also a way that they kind of make fun of people saying, oh, they suck just based on the fact that they wear makeup and, that whole reading a book by its cover. And, you guys are unmasking. We want your photo. And then all of a sudden at the very end, surprise, we still got it on. Well, I still say they suck then.
Yeah. Yep. That would be super weird. Were there really people out there that thought, oh, Kiss is saying we suck? Weird that people would think that. Robbie also says, a very brilliant album for radio rock back in 1980. Kiss didn't go harder because they were trying to get on the Billboard Top 40 charts with a few hits, and it panned out from 77 to 80. Bob Kulick plays the solo fading out on Naked City and played the bass. There have been rumors that Rick Derringer was seen going into the studio around this time, but nothing has ever been said by the band about this. A few of these songs were written for another band, but Poncia gave them to Kiss to record, possibly Jackson Browne. This is definitely an interesting time with the band as they sound like Cheap Trick, The Cars, and the Eagles. I love most of these songs, and the album is in my top 3 favorite Kiss albums. I have to rate this pretty high because this is one of the few Kiss albums I listen to all the time, still to this day. As a Kiss record compared to their 70s albums, it's definitely more of a glam pop rock album and probably worth a 6 or 7, but because I like it so much except for an Ace song, and no, it's not Talk to Me, LOL, I still rate it a 9. And then he also gave us his full rankings for that album. His top 3 were Tomorrow, Easy As It Seems, and Naked City. Also, the Ace song he was referring to is Two Sides of the Coin. That's the one he doesn't like, which that hurts a little.
So it's interesting because, we know Rick Derringer did eventually do some stuff, but it wasn't until Look It Up. And
yeah.
So you mean to tell me that Bob Kulick is the one that plays the bass on Naked City?
Yeah, apparently so.
If that's true, then wow.
Yeah.
My love for Bob just went through the roof because you guys hear how much we gush about that bass line all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Robbie, you need to get into editing Wikipedia. Get these facts straight. So
yeah.
Wikipedia is not quite cutting it on that personnel section sometimes.
You need to come on the show and be like the little deep info guy or whatever you want to call it, and give us these little gems like that. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
A lot of great input on Unmasked too, man. Appreciate it from you guys. A lot of great comments.
Absolutely, yes. We also got one from Thomas, Rain in Adamstown. His top 3 for Unmasked: Tomorrow, She's So European, and Naked City. I said that backwards, by the way. That was 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
He says, love the album. I give it an 8 this time. There are people who hate the Poncia production, but to be honest, this guy is really, really good for pop hard rock. What distinguishes Unmasked from the other albums is that no song is sloppy, but also misses the super hit like I Was Made for Loving You, I Love It Loud, and Heaven's on Fire. As a whole, it works perfect for me. The cover is colorful and fits the music. Apart from the galactic Naked City, I can hardly rank the other songs because they are all on the same very good level. Unmasked makes me happy every time I listen to it, and that's what counts. Okay, you talked about the new AC/DC. I was never a fan, but love the only album I have, Flick of the Switch. To give them credit, their new album sounds fresh, has no stinkers on it, and extremely good songs like In the Mists of Time and Demon Fire. And the most important, all of my friends who are lifelong AC/DC fanatics love Power Up. I am happy for them. We as Kiss fans will never have such a good album again. I mean, no album at all. Wish you a good weekend.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I feel like Monster and Sonic Boom are even dropped the ball with, living up to what we kind of wanted from a Kiss album.
Yeah.
Flick of the Switch is an album. I've honestly never been a big fan of that album. There's nothing on there that catches me. Power Up, unfortunately, I still haven't listened to the whole album yet. I think I do want to buy like the vinyl, so that's kind of why I'm waiting to give it a proper listen, but just kind of dragging my butt on that. Need to pick that up at some point.
Yeah. I've never gotten into AC/DC either, but I don't specifically dislike them. But yeah, so that all the songs I've heard I've liked, but I haven't listened to anything recently. And Thomas makes an amazing point there that AC/DC just put out from all accounts, pretty solid album, and we're not going to get that from Kiss again.
I think some of it has to do with like, we're starting to lose a lot of these legends, and especially this year, and the fact that they put an album out at this same time, and it's basically the original lineup. Rest in peace, Malcolm. Obviously, he had no choice that he couldn't be there. And that's the first thing I noticed. Like, this sounds as close to that old school AC/DC that I like, that I think I will give this one a listen. And I admit I passed on their last couple albums. Like, there might have been like one song or something that, oh, that's kind of cool. But I don't know. It feels like this one feels different for some reason. Like, I feel like they do have that, like they caught that sound, but not to turn this into an AC/DC podcast, but
right.
I definitely do plan on giving it a listen at some point. Not to mention Paul McCartney's new album, so definitely want to listen to that too. So
right. Let's close out our comment section with several comments from Carolina Hard Rock Metalhead, who gave us his rankings for the Unmasked. His top 3, Easy as It Seems, Is That You, and Naked City. He also put Two Sides of the Coin in dead last. He says, in my opinion, Ace went from excellent on Dynasty to completely bomb on Unmasked. I do not like any of the Ace songs on this album. He gave it a 6.5 overall.
I'm curious to hear what he thinks about Dark Light on this album.
Right.
Excuse me.
He also says, I like the echo you got going on. That's freaking cool. I think David Smith agrees as well. I did turn my headphones down. Hopefully that took care of that.
I think David Smith's always the first one to call us out on that.
Yeah, that's it. You just tune in every week just to make sure.
We appreciate
it. Exactly. That safety net there. Caroline also says, I was a surgical technician for 10 years, helped bring a lot of babies into this world. So if you want, I have DSS podcast birthing. I will be glad to assist you guys. I bet ratings would go up. That's a good point. Yeah, that would.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I couldn't get footage.
Yeah. Indeed. He also gave us some well wishes on the birth of the baby. Very much appreciated. Absolutely.
Oh, do you have the onesie to show? Chris mentioned on their show that they sent you that onesie.
Yeah, let me go grab that real quick. I know exactly where it's at.
Sorry to put a brakes on the show there for a second, guys, but looks to be cool.
We haven't put it on him yet because he keeps peeing through all his clothes. So we'll wait until he gets a little bit better control of his bladder.
Oh, that's cool. That's even cooler than I thought it was. I thought it was just going to be plain black.
No, that was super cool. I was very excited to get that in the mail.
So, I told him I'd take a picture with me wearing it.
Yeah. Yes. And this will bridge us nicely into the next segment. Carolina also asked, how do you vote on the tournament? So, we're going to go right over into our tournament polls. So in case anybody watching this doesn't know yet, over on Facebook, we have conducted several polls, a huge tournament that includes every single studio Kiss song. We are currently in the middle of round 5. We're trying to get to what is the best. What do we say is the best Kiss song? And we're narrowing it down. It's going really, really fast right now. So we were just posting this on Facebook, and then right around the time that all the election stuff started picking up speed, for some reason, Facebook removed the ability to make polls. No idea why or if it's connected to the election somehow, but you still can make polls if you run a group page. So we've got Kiss Meets the Podcast group on Facebook. You can search that in your Facebook bar. It'll come right up. You do have to request access to join, but we approve everybody. So don't even worry about that. If you want in there, get in there. Every single week we post around 6 matches. It's getting less and different now because we're getting into rounds that don't even have very many matches. Round 6 that we're about to do is only going to have 5 matches total. So definitely get in there and let us know which songs you think ought to win. We're thinking when this one finishes, we're gonna do it again, but this time with all of the songs from the 4 Alives.
Yeah.
So yes, we'll be curious to see how that goes. So let's talk about what we've just recently posted. I did forget to post polls last week. Again, having a baby. So apologies. I actually didn't mean to miss them, but just everything was going on. Didn't think about it.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, we posted the first 5 matches for round 5, and we got those results tallied today.
David Smith request to join pending. When did you try to join it, man? I don't know if we've seen that.
Yeah, didn't.
Again, with me having Facebook issues for the last couple of weeks, I definitely might have missed that too. We'll have to look into that because I finally just got added back into the page today. But but real quick, Carolina, which I found out his name is Scott Carolina, whatever. I just added him on Facebook, so Scott, I will send you invites to both pages as well, so you can definitely get in there easier and jump on these polls and get involved there.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
David, while Luke's doing this, I'll jump over here and see if I can find you.
Absolutely. Okay, so the results for the first 5 matches in round 5, our first matchup was Unholy versus 100,000 Years. All 5 of these are kicks in the pants, in case anybody wasn't sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Unholy takes this one just barely with 52% of the vote.
That's tough.
Yes, absolutely. The next one was Cold Gin versus Creatures of the Night. Yeah, Creatures takes this one with 69% of the vote.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yep. Slick move. We also had Strutter versus She. This one did not go how I was expecting. She takes this one, again with 52%, just barely overtaking it.
Yeah, I think people are just generally getting bored of Strutter at this point.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Oh, I definitely voted for She myself. I just didn't expect it to win. Yeah. We also had Deuce versus I Love It Loud. Deuce takes this one with 68%.
That's the one I keep saying I think might take it all. So.
Yeah. Yep. I feel like it's going to come down to Deuce and Detroit Rock City. I think that might be our final match.
It's looking that way.
Yeah. Next, actually the last one that we posted a couple weeks ago, Heaven's on Fire versus Detroit Rock City. And Detroit takes it with 74%.
Wow.
Yes. So we're gearing up for a pretty hardcore round 6. We do have the last 4 matches for round 5 posted right now. So get in there, request your access. Hopefully, we'll figure out why it's not showing us some people. Hopefully, we can get David in there so David can get on these as well. The 4 that you can vote on right now are Come On and Love Me versus Sure Know Something, Love Gun versus Going Blind, King of the Nighttime World versus Shock Me, and God of Thunder versus Rocket Ride.
Wow.
Yeah, so lots and lots to mull around. Now, next week we are going to be doing another second chance round, and that is where we take the top-rated 6 songs that have already lost matches, and then we'll put those in there as one poll. 6 songs, you only get to choose one, and whichever one gets the most votes gets back into the round for round 6. Because we had a lot of close matches, this is gonna be a different second chance round than we've had. Anybody who's been doing these polls for a while will know the last 2 second chance rounds were very similar set. The 6 songs were almost the same 6 songs both times. We are going to have 100,000 Years and Strutter in the 6 because they were so close this time. So we'll find out if any of the losers for next week also get in there, and we'll see how that goes. So again, jump in there, search Kiss Meets the Podcast group on Facebook, and we will get you in there so that you can vote.
Yes, I just got it figured out. I found the member requests. There were actually 15 pending.
Oh, wow.
Some of them as long as 10 weeks ago, so I do apologize.
Whoopsie daisy.
Again, we somehow missed some of those, and then again with my Facebook issues. But I just approved everyone. David, I saw you, so you should be good to go now. Uh-oh. What's up, Watts? What's up, Luke Skywalker and Eli Musk? So yeah, if you can David, if you're still here, if you can verify with us, if you do see that, because I did go ahead and do the approval. So I do apologize once again, but you're in.
Happening.
Anthony X was one of the requests too.
Getting them all in there. Huh? One second.
Okay. So Watts, what's up, man? I know Chris is at his basketball game, so nah, thanks, man. You guys rock too on Kiss and Tell. I was talking earlier about the show that I was on last week with you guys. That was a blast, man. A lot of fun, nothing but fun, and great topics, and can't wait to do it again. I wish we can all just do each other's shows every single week, you know. So yeah, Luke had to go hydrate the baby or Savannah, one of the two.
Indeed, yes.
So where are we at? Ready for album info? Is that where we're at?
Yep, absolutely. All right.
Watts wants to see the baby.
Yes.
He did make an appearance before we went live, so there may be a good opportunity. You might see him by the end of the show.
Absolutely. Yep, he is feeding at the moment. So
Yes.
I know she is actually watching the episode in there too.
So by the way, for anyone that may just be coming in, we are doing The Elder, so that's what we're getting ready to jump into here for album info.
Yes. And if any of you guys haven't, I would go check out the Wikipedia page. There is a ton. This might be the longest Wikipedia entry for a Kiss album. This is an absolute ton of stuff here.
And the most annoying sequence on any album either.
Yo, geez, yeah. Okay, so Music from the Elder is technically the ninth studio album released by Kiss. This was released on November 10th, 1981, recorded throughout March and clear up to September of 1981. Produced, of course, by Bob Ezrin. Everybody in the Kiss camp ought to know his name. Also produced Destroyer, produced a lot of Pink Floyd albums, Alice Cooper albums, lots of good stuff there. This is a huge transitional album for Kiss. Of course, this is the first album to officially feature Eric Carr instead of Peter Criss on the drums. Also, they changed their look pretty drastically. The costumes for almost the first time are very minimal. All of them got haircuts. Paul's and Gene's look pretty drastic. Eric's is even pretty short for what we recognize. This is also the only concept album that Kiss has ever recorded. Apparently, they had plans to do a back to basics, balls to the wall hard rock album, and had even done interviews stating that it was going to be hard and heavy from start to finish. And it wasn't until, according to Wikipedia anyway, it wasn't until Bob Ezrin got involved and read a short story of Gene's that he convinced them to go in the more artsy-fartsy direction, so to speak, and try to make their version of Pink Floyd's The Wall, specifically. According to Wikipedia, too, how this was, a commercial failure, and most of the fans hated it, but apparently the critics at the time were kind of okay with it. They gave it kind reviews, which is strange. And it wasn't until more recently that the album got more of a cult following, and quite a few fans came out, as it were, as really enjoying this album.
This really changed people.
Yes. Eli mentioned the sequence. Most of, if any of you out there have an original pressing of the vinyl, then the sequence is not the intended sequence for following the story. This was a change that the record label made to emphasize The Oath and A World Without Heroes, which were the two singles. And they apparently, when they heard this album, the label were kind of like, hey. So they decided to change the sequence up to try and capitalize on those songs. The Japanese version of the original pressing does have the correct sequence, except it does not have Escape from the Island, which is weird.
Which is this bastard here.
Yep. The intended sequence was not fully restored until the 1997 remaster CD came out. And that is also what you can purchase on iTunes digitally right now, is that 1997 remaster.
I also found out that the 2014 vinyl reissues that they did is this 97 version with the proper listing. So it's the first time for that the US vinyl had been released with that proper. So now I'm like, okay, now I need to get that 2014 press.
Yes. As far as personnel, and again, we are going to be depending 100% on Robbie Stars to make sure this is correct, because Wikipedia sucks at this part. What it says is Paul Stanley, rhythm guitar, vocals, and also lead guitar on Just a Boy, A World Without Heroes, and The Oath. Ace Frehley, lead guitar, vocals, and also bass guitar on The Oath, Dark Light, and Under the Rose, and acoustic guitar on A World Without Heroes, also backing vocals. Gene Simmons, bass guitar, vocals, and rhythm guitar on Only You. And then Eric Carr, drums, percussion, backing vocals, acoustic guitar on Under the Rose. We've also got Bob Ezrin, who of course produced. He played some keyboards and also played the bass on Escape from the Island. Alan Schwartzberg, who played drums on Gene Simmons' solo album, side note, played the drums on Odyssey and and it also says additional overdub. Not sure what that is. We got Tony Powers, who played keyboards on Odyssey. And we've also got the American Symphony Orchestra and St. Robert's Choir on there. The U.S. Billboard Pop Charts list this is getting up to 75. We got 3 singles, A World Without Heroes, and The Oath. And this album has been certified gold.
It's gold! So is it safe to say that this is the first Kiss album since, Love Gun, where it was essentially just the 4 members playing?
Essentially, yeah, except for whenever Bob Ezrin would get the wild hair up his butt and decide somebody else was going to do something.
Oh god, I've lost my hearing.
Lost his ear.
Real quick, speaking of the singles, I just wanted to show a few that I had real quick. This is a German single for I and the Oath. It's got a kind of a weird textured paper on there. And then I've got a UK, it's a picture disc single of World Without Heroes. And then the back is Mr. Blackwell. So, again, speaking about the costumes and look, you could definitely get a good look there, how they changed. I always thought it was weird how Gene just kind of had his hair in a ponytail.
Yeah, it makes it look short, but it's actually just in that tail. I remember, I think it's in Paul's book too. He mentions that the only reason he's wearing that headband is because his shorter haircut didn't hide his screwed up ear, which hadn't been fixed yet.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, or he was trying to, emulate Hendrix and dipped it in acid or something.
Yes.
Now, real quick too, I noticed on as far as Discogs, one of the listings on Dark Light, it has a writing credit for Anton Fig.
Yes, that's something the Wikipedia page mentions. Apparently, the main guitar riff of that song is based on something Anton Fig wrote.
And, of course, that's the track that Lou Reed worked on as well with them.
Right.
Mike says, damn, Eli, you got all kinds of goodies.
Yes.
Yeah, my collection's nothing compared to some people, but yeah, I do have some things that I'm kind of proud of.
Absolutely. We need to get Javier Boster back in here. Where's
that? Yeah, he's still been setting up his room or something. We haven't seen him in a while. I need to see what's up with him.
Yeah.
So is that it? We're ready for the album?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. So again, just to clarify, we are going off the 97 remastered track listing sequence, which is supposed to be the way it was intended in the first place. Therefore, it opens up with Fanfare, which we are not counting as its own separate track. It's just nothing more than an interlude for the first song. So it's Fanfare / Just a Boy is how we're starting the album. Number 8 for me. I don't know, Fanfare, it's cool. The part, the big orchestral dun, 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 that's grown me, obviously, because of our intro for Sweet Pain. You threw that in there, so
absolutely.
Every time I hear that now, I feel like I'm ready to start playing a show. But at the same time, and I don't mean to jump ahead to the very end of the album right away, but that thing that comes at the end of I with all the, essentially the same thing, but you get the talking, I almost feel like that should be at the very beginning of the album, because it almost feels like that's sort of setting up kind of the story somewhat. And I felt like that should be at the very beginning, or maybe even some point in the middle than where it's at. But anyway, Just a Boy, moving on to the actual song here. Good stuff. I mean, Paul's voice, it's that kind of soft, hitting some cool little high notes there. I love that pre-chorus. I'm no hero. That's really cool. The harmonies behind that, and it's a cool song. It's another song that's kind of grown on me all the years. Like it used to be one of them songs that you kind of look at it and kind of laugh because of the way he sings and stuff, but. It's really a pretty well written song, and definitely shows his voice abilities there at that time, and I thought it was pretty well written.
Absolutely. Yep, this is number 4 for me, and I think for me this is just them perfectly exemplifying what they're trying to do with this concept. It's completely brand new for them, and me, I'm usually for. The album needs to start hard and heavy. It needs to be exciting immediately. It needs to slam right in your face. But it doesn't bother me that this doesn't do that. Fanfare doesn't do that. Just a Boy doesn't do that. It's the perfect opening for a concept like this, where it gives you that mystical feeling and it sets up the story. And Paul singing in his falsetto voice to because he's playing the part of the boy. Weird as it may sound to some people, there was a purpose behind why he was singing it that way. And I love the acoustic guitars in there. Yeah, the harmonies. The solo is very tasteful. I think that's a Paul solo too, that one.
Probably. It does
Yeah.
sound like it.
Absolutely.
And the record executives were probably thinking the same thing, which is probably why they had the oath starting off the album on that other version that was out for so many years. They wanted it to immediately sound like what people were expecting a Kiss album to start.
Yes.
Watts, yeah. Anton played on Ace's solo album, and of course went on to be a member of Fraley's Comet and everything as well. And of course Anton played on Dynasty and Unmasked, in case you didn't know that, but I'm sure you did. You're the Watts man.
Yes.
All right. I know this right here is a big difference for me, especially from when we did this album last time. So next up is Odyssey, and this is my number one. This song is really stuck with me recently. Honestly, thanks to your brother Sam, he pointed this song out. He requested it when I was doing one of those live streams, just playing some Kiss music, and I'm like, yeah, this song really is freaking epic, man. It's so cool. I mean, such an epic track. Again, Paul this right here could be one of the best Paul written songs in my opinion. Like when it comes to true songwriting abilities, not, forget about writing songs about girls and, innuendos for your genitalia and all that stuff. But, as far as like true songwriting, up to this point, this has got to be one of those, in my opinion.
There is a reason for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't write it.
Well, no, he did, because it's a Kiss album, and he sings it, so we have to believe that he wrote it.
Sure. Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Oh, God. So anyway, this is now my number 10 since Luke just ruined it for me.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it's just a freaking epic song, and I feel like it's horribly criminally underrated. And I'm not just gonna immediately go, "Oh, the Oath's my number one song" on here, like most people are gonna jump to, and nothing wrong with that because it's a good song. But I feel like there's deeper. This song has deeper feel than the Oath. It's not just your basic kind of rocker song, per se.
That's for sure. I noticed that on the original pressing, the weird track listing, this song is late. It's almost at the end.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which is strange. And honestly, I kind of feel like it fits it better to be there.
Let's see. Go ahead. I'm just trying to look on one of the. Yeah. On this one pressing here, it's next to last.
Yeah.
Down there next to I.
Right. And to be honest, listening to it lyrically, I feel like that suits it better. It seems to be summing up the journey. It doesn't feel like we're gearing up for a journey. It feels like we're recapping the journey. So this one is my number 9, but it's not because I dislike the song or anything. It's partially that. It feels like it should be different in the track sequence. And also, I'm disappointed that the only name in the writing credits is Tony Powers.
Mm-hmm.
No Kiss member at all listed for the writing credits. It's not necessarily a cover, but it kind of bothers me that they couldn't even, like, this was supposed to be what at the time they viewed, this is going to be our opus, this is going to be our big thing, and they couldn't even be bothered to write all the songs or help at least. A little weird, but I do like the song a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there are things about this sequence, even though it's considered the way it was meant, that at least the way they did it on these versions that they release, I don't like the way they sequence some of these songs, because you hear things kind of at the ends and beginnings of certain songs that really shouldn't be there. and doesn't make sense. And then, like you said, this one sounds like it should be farther down to the end, which it, in all rights, it probably should be. So it's almost like listening to the original way it was released may actually be the right way. But I guess it's just in the ear of the listener, I guess, whichever one you prefer.
Right.
However, to be cheesy, however you want to take the adventure is the way what order you'll listen to.
Yeah. Yep.
What's this? Eli and Luke, get my number from Lion Man. I want to be on an episode. I blow fire out of your. Hell yeah, that'd be cool, man.
Absolutely.
Blow some fire. Yeah, I'll get your number. Or if you're not on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, friend us on there, and we'll talk to you that way too. So anyway, moving on, we got Only You, number 4 here. This is cool. I like, because it definitely, it feels like it's, only Gene, because he's singing for quite a while. So you feel like this is, purely a Gene song. And then lo and behold, Paul eventually comes in halfway through the song. Got it right this time. I didn't say it on the wrong song like we did the first time. But, as I was paying, Javier, what's up? Speak of the devil.
Speak of the devil. Yeah.
We were just wondering where you've been, man. What's up?
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So on this listen, I was noticing, like, I like how with Gene's lyrics, you can kind of hear like that, that kind of swell of the words as, and I was kind of picturing like this could be like where the boy or whatever is like, maybe he's in like this cave or something. And Gene's voice is actually like some sort of spirited or, something like that that's kind of giving him this guidance. And that's kind of why his voice is doing that. And then when it breaks into, Paul's part, I don't know if he's, I wouldn't say maybe he's necessarily still playing the boy character, but, it's definitely that whole different take. And just a really cool laid out song. Man, everyone's hopping in now. What's up? Robbie Stars, what's up? Steve McGowan, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while either.
Yes. Good to see everybody. Or, well, Javier, see, but,
Yeah. Javier says he's been busy. Hey, no problem, man. We all have.
Absolutely.
How's that Kiss Room coming along? Let us know.
This song is extremely difficult to rank for me. This whole album is one. Honestly, the whole album is difficult for me to rank. This is number 10, and again, it's just I had to put it somewhere. I like the other ones a little bit better. And immediately I was reminded of the cover that we heard in the Second Coming stuff. Warlock comes to mind, but it wasn't Warlock. It was the female singer.
Oh, Doro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of her name, and I really did not like that version very much.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Her horrible voice.
Yeah.
Hello.
Like a gremlin.
Yeah. I'm wearing a Doro shirt today.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Steve. Very much appreciated. He is doing well. He is eating and pooping and sleeping. That is.
Hey, quit talking about me.
Yes, exactly. Also, the baby is doing well.
You still haven't started on the Kiss Room. Oh, man. I'm coming to your house and helping you then.
Yes. Yeah, we're driving there right now. Let's go.
Anyway, we'll let Luke finish his thoughts here on this song.
Right. So, yes, it was a nice breath of fresh air to hear this, the real version, quote unquote. One thing that I really like about this song is right at the beginning, Gene's bass follows his vocal melody.
Yeah.
And it's just so unexpected. And now I am glad it doesn't do that the whole song. That would have been even weirder, but it's so very interesting that he decided to do that. Just not something you'd expect.
Right. Javier loves Doro. All right, next up is Under the Rose. This is number 9 for me. I'm not really even sure why, but I always feel like these two songs are sort of brother and sister. I feel like they kind of go together for some reason. Um, I've never been a huge fan, to be honest, of the whole that big I've never been a big fan of the way that sounds. That it just sounds too, I don't know, like they're trying to sound like some sort of orchestra or something, with or not an orchestra, but like the three tenors, like Pavarotti's up there, and Pavarotti's joined Kiss for an album, and never been a big fan of that. But other than that, I mean, it's really not a bad song. I mean, again, just to kind of preface everything, again, there's nothing I hate on this album. It's definitely a solid album. I could listen to the whole thing, no problem. My God, Rochelle, what is up?
Hey!
I need you to explain how Fanfare is better. I can't remember what she ranked them above now because I got so flustered.
Yeah, you really did have a very adverse reaction there, Liz.
I think I about hacked my own Facebook account. Steve says, "Sound too medieval, huh?" Yeah, sounds like Steve singing.
She put it above Under the Rose and Just a Boy.
Explain yourself, Rochelle.
It's funny. That's good. I was actually tempted a bit to make this my number one. Actually, this is 3 for me. I feel like this is one of the most underrated songs. Obviously, The Oath and World Without Heroes are the obvious picks because they are hands down great songs. But this is the one I feel like gets overlooked, I think. I love the clean guitar part. Again, it captures that like mystical vibe. It works with the story absolutely perfectly. I love Eric Carr's drum part throughout those soft bits. The snare thing is virgin on creepy. It hits it so well. And I think that chorus is just heavy, so heavy. Some of the most heaviest stuff they've done up to this point. I do, however, wish that the guitars were a little bit more fuller. That for me, just kind of a general complaint for the production of this album is that the guitars maybe could have been a little bit heavier, and I feel like that would have supplemented this chorus really well, some heavier guitars. But yeah, I really like this one.
That's another thing I forgot to mention. I'm not a fan of the deep sounding Paul lyrics or slowed the tape down, whatever they did. I'm not a fan of that on this either. And I feel like that stands out a lot on that big part too, which is another reason it kind of, I don't know. It's just weird. It's one of them things. Javier said, once again, the musical tastes collide. He thinks those two songs are great. Hey, we didn't say we hate them. They're good, but just not my favorites. Rochelle liked the music on the CD, heard it years ago. All right, so now we get to where I feel like we're really getting into the meat of the album here. Well, you know what, before you say that, you mentioned like World Without Heroes and The Oath are kind of the ones everyone guessed. Is it really I mean, yeah, they're good songs, don't get me wrong, but is the real reason because those are the two songs that everyone heard the most before they finally listened to this album, because they had the video for World Without Heroes, and then there's always that live performance that they did for The Oath that was on all those tapes. So those are really the only two songs everyone ever heard off this album until we ever got the gumption to sit down and listen to the album. So is that why people kind of cling to these songs the most?
Maybe. I know for me, those are the only two songs on this album that for me feel like they could go on other Kiss albums and it wouldn't be weird. And
believe me, for a long time, yeah, it was that case for me. Like those were the only two songs I would listen to on this album. And then I started creeping in because God, I don't even remember. It was probably one of them videos when I kind of discovered that song. But and again, I'm not saying World Without Heroes and Oath are bad songs. They're good songs, but especially at this point and on this listen today, I'm trying to really pay more, and that's why something like the Odyssey came in at number one for me this time, is trying not to just keep sticking with the same picks all the time. This time listening to it, it wasn't what Rochelle remembered. Absolutely. So back to the album here, we get to Dark Light, our one and only Ace track, which is my number 2. First of all, it's kind of always been surprising to me that Ace even has a song on this album, because it totally doesn't seem like an Ace type of album in general with the concept, and it just doesn't feel like any of his songs would have fit, but surprisingly it does. And this is a really underrated Ace song, and I love that weird little intro thing. Almost sounds like the Jaws theme or something, and that weird roll and everything, and I love the part before the solo, that big crazy fill that Eric does, and then Ace just takes off on that solo and just goes crazy, and really, really good solo, maybe one of his best solos. Again, underrated. And not to mention, even the original song that this started out, Don't Run, is what the demo, I even like that version, different lyrics and everything, but definitely an underrated Ace song in my opinion, and unfortunately, the last Ace song that we would get on an album until Psycho Circus. So Dave Smith, Solid Gold, that's the oath there, yeah. And I think they did World Without Heroes on there as well. Robbie Stars remembers walking into the listening booth, music in his local mall, heard this soft haunting song sounding like Kiss, and here they were playing Under the Rose. So that's the first song he heard. Very cool.
That's cool. They played that in a music store.
Yeah. Javier says Dark Light rules. Solo is amazing. Yes. Have to go. Rochelle has to go. Congrats, Luke. Merry Christmas, everyone. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Merry Christmas, Rochelle. You guys stay safe. Be good. Thanks for stopping in. We miss you guys.
Yes. Yeah, let's see. Dark Light, number 6 for me. And yeah, this is such a cool Ace riff. This is and it's funny to hear that it's kind of an Anton riff, even stranger. But Ace, it sounds like an Ace riff. Like, compare that to Torpedo Girl, and it makes sense that it's the same guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I lost my place on the notes. Okay. So the only thing I'm not super big on for this song, it would probably be higher on my list, is Ace's spoken word vocals in the verses. It feels a bit hokey to me, and I dislike it. I don't like it when he does that generally. It takes me out of the song because it feels goofy. But the riff and just the general feel is enough to make me overlook that most of the time. And also, considering this album's general lack of guitar solos, especially Ace, most of the solos that we do have on this are Paul, because apparently several of the guitar solos Ace recorded, Bob Ezrin cut them for some reason. And I can't imagine why, because if they were even half as good as the Dark Light solos, then they were just fine, But
Excuse
it was
me. Sorry, I gotta use the restroom. I apologize. I'll be right back.
Yeah, hit it up. Yeah. Oh, I see. So Steve and Rochelle, it looks like they're getting ready to have a Weapons of God band practice. So yes, Merry Christmas to you guys. Hope practice goes well. Glad to hear you guys are still playing in all of this. There's not a whole lot going on musically, so any band that's still pushing on, that's definitely a good thing. Robbie says Anton Fig was going to play on Dark Light, but he had an interview for the David Letterman show, so Eric drummed on it. Thank God, LOL. Yeah, absolutely agree. Would have been interesting to hear Anton's take on it, but geez, they just got Eric. Let the guy play on the album. Yeah, that's. Oh, good, he's back already. I like Anton Fig, but I love Eric Carr. Absolutely agree.
So sorry.
You good?
What was you saying?
So Robbie was saying that Anton was actually supposed to play on Darklight, but ended up having an interview for David Letterman, so they let Eric do it.
Oh yeah, would have been interesting to hear Anton's take on it. Wonder if Anton's the one that plays on the demo though. It's an interesting question and thought there.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Robbie, I was actually thinking that same thing.
Steve, if you haven't left yet, same to you, man. Merry Christmas. Have a great band practice. All that good stuff. Would you guys ever consider playing a live concert, playing The Elder in its entirety with your Kiss tribute band? Hey, Mike, what can I say? I'm a quick peer. Considering it was almost in my pants. That's why I need diapers. There's Carolina. What's up, man? So yeah, playing The Elder in its entirety, that's an interesting thought. I believe we did mention it, but it was like,
There are some things that would be very difficult to pull off live. It's no wonder they didn't do most of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would be into it if we could. That would be neat.
So Carolina, real quick, was talking about the show we did with Kiss and Tell earlier. Was give you a shout out. So catch the beginning of that if you can. I'm going to add you to send you invites to join our Facebook groups so you can get in there and get in on these polls and whatnot. So thanks for stopping in, man. Thanks, Mike. You mean the band or the show? We rock live. All right. So next is World Without Heroes. Number 7 for me. I mean, it is what it is. It's a cool Gene ballad again, kind of unexpected. I feel like this song could have easily, appeared on his solo album and fit just as well. Interested. It was kind of interesting that they did a video for this. It's almost like they were definitely trying to make that kind of a turn in the music world, as far as this being more of a radio friendly type song. Like it's almost like that's what they were going for, because at that time, 1981, a lot of that stuff that was dominating the top 40 charts was all those like love songs and ballad type stuff. Just you hear it now and you're just like, God, this is boring, and how is this number one? But that's the kind of stuff that was ruling the charts at the time, and you can kind of get the feeling that they were sort of going for something along those lines with this song, and especially with the video, and Gene shedding a tear at the end of the video. But and it was kind of cool too to see Ace playing an acoustic in the video. That's something we never really saw during his whole Kiss career, and kind of our first I guess our first proper look at Eric Carr, with the band playing. And again, I'm not sure what came first, the video or the Solid Gold or whatever, but that's one of the more official looks of Eric Carr with the band that we got. But great, again, it's good solo. I believe Paul does the solo, right? So yeah, good stuff. Javier said he was beside himself when he first saw World Without Heroes video. He could not believe they released this as the first single. He was let down. Robbie Starr says the unplugged version of World Without Heroes is the best in his opinion. That is very good. I'm glad you brought that up, so I would have totally forgot to mention it.
Indeed.
We have a special guest, guys.
What are you doing there? Oh, geez. We got the dog, too.
What do you rank this album, Victor?
Yeah. There you go. Whole family is in there.
Pippi loves her baby.
Yes.
Say hi.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not sure if he's waving or if he's doing this.
Thinker.
He's like, "What's up, y'all?"
Yes, he's doing what he does best, sleeping. He's probably pooping right now too.
Pete threw his outfit.
Oh, of course he did.
That's different.
Yes. Yep, we were at the beginning of the episode. We were talking about the onesie and how we haven't put it in him or put him in it yet because he keeps peeing. He keeps peeing everything.
It's pretty sad. I'm 40 and I nearly peed my pants too.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm gonna bring his blanket in here because I'm gonna go pump.
Okay.
Do you want to take him for a minute so I can bring it in here? Pippi.
You know, pump some iron.
Yeah, that's what she's doing. Yeah.
I'm gonna go pump.
Come here, bub.
I'm gonna pump you up.
Daddy.
Alrighty. Who?
We have our new third co-host officially.
Here he is. Yes. So yeah, I can't. That also, I didn't realize this was the first single. Yeah, Javier, I think I probably would have been let down at the time too. Them hyping up the idea that they're doing this heavy balls to the wall album, and then that's the first single. That is surprising. Now, I will say, this is my number one because I really, really, really like this song a lot. First single, no, that's dumb,
Yeah.
but I do really like this song. I think this is. For all the hate this album gets, this song is genuinely, inarguably a great song. And honestly, I think this could have been on Destroyer. I think right along the lines of Beth, it would have been surprising still at the time. But shoot, put it in place of Great Expectations. Get that
I don't know about that.
Which song are we talking about?
World Without Heroes.
It's the best song on the album.
And yeah, this is one of my favorite Paul guitar solos of all time. I remember that I couldn't believe that this was Paul. I saw that video for the first time and was like, wait, that solo's Paul? Just absolutely mind-boggling. And yeah, this, like I said earlier, I think this and The Oath, for me, are the only two songs on this album that could be relocated to a different Kiss album and it would still make sense. Whereas all the other ones are pretty stuck right here where they're at, you know?
And then you were like,
Do you want to
Paul's
put him
wearing
in
a
his
purple
blanket, or do you want me
headband?
to put him in the...
Yeah.
Come here, bub. Come
There you go. Ooh, what's going on?
here.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Carolina. I appreciate that. And Robbie as well. Thank you. Absolutely. The
His first
word
word
might be over. Throwing him right into the spotlight, yes. That would be interesting.
Is he okay right here?
Yeah.
Have you heard the cover that Cher did, Javier? Yes, I have. I actually have the 45 of that.
Pippi.
Not bad, but something I listen to that as much as I would listen to Bonnie Tyler's version of Hide Your Heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so next up is everyone's favorite, The Oath. Number 3 for me. And yeah, it's great. Yeah, this is probably the closest thing to what people wanted to hear from this album. And I see why the record executives freaked out and put this as the first song on the original release, and because they didn't want everyone to be let down right off the bat. Yeah, let's build up their hopes with the first song, and then as soon as the next song comes on, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
But yeah, great. And the big complaint I have with this, especially this song, let alone the whole album, is just the damn drum sound. It's like the drums should sound so much better, especially the kick drums, because we're getting not necessarily the first time, but as far as an official Kiss member, though, we're kind of getting the first time of getting double bass on a Kiss record.
Yeah.
And they just do not stand out. You could barely even feel the bass, let alone hear it, and that just irks me, and it always has. And, and the toms, he's doing some cool tom work, and you can barely hear them as well. They're just, it's almost like in a way, like he got the Jason Newsted treatment before the Jason Newsted treatment was a thing.
I was just thinking that same thing. Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, obviously it's a great rocking song, and it was cool when back when they first started pulling this out as a surprise, like on the cruises and stuff. It was like, oh my god, But it kind of ran its course. It's like nowadays, if they pull it out, it's not really as big of a deal anymore. At least to me, it's about the same as if they played Strutter at this point.
Right.
It's just kind of like, it's a cool song, yeah, but it's not that wow factor anymore like it used to be. And,
it's become their go-to surprise.
Yeah, like, oh, you want to hear something from the Elder? Well, here's this. Like, that's the only song people are gonna know or something. But but yeah, cool song, and this is definitely the one song on the whole album, if you had to say, sort of foreshadows what's coming next, what's brewing, then this would be the one.
Yes. Yep. This is number 2 for me, and yeah, of course, there's everything that's already been said about this, but this just triggers 1,000 what if scenarios in my head, this song, because I can only imagine what a more straightforward rock album like what they said they were doing would have sounded like in this era, knowing that we almost had that with songs that were more like this one. Really intrigues me. I'm curious what that would have sounded like, a whole album of The Oath, and I know that Nowhere to Run from Killers was demoed for this album too, so stuff like that. I also kind of wish that they had continued playing this live at the time for a little while longer. It brings to mind how they did I Was Made for Loving You on Alive 3, how they heavied it up a little bit, but they kept the spirit of the song. It's still the same song. They didn't really change anything. It was just how they did it. And I would like to hear what they might have done with a song like The Oath around the Creatures and Lick It Up tours, if they would have done similar tweaks, that it's not changing the song, but it makes it work a little better live. I would have been really curious to see what that would have been.
Yeah, like what kind of little extra parts would they have maybe come up with, for middle sections or endings, like they've done with so many songs, instead of just playing the song as it is, like they do now when they bring this song up. Like, had they have done it at that time, that would have been really cool to hear.
Absolutely.
Javier says during this time he had drifted from the band. That would soon change once he got Killers. So, and then Robbie says The Oath sounds like heavy metal Kiss that twists into an ELO song with that odd change near the end of it. Great tune. Yeah, you do have a point there. It is sort of ELO-ish, and I wouldn't be surprised if at the time people were even wondering if Jeff Lynne had worked on them. Worked with them on this album, because I could definitely see where there would be some hints that would make you almost think that, at least back then.
Yeah.
All right, we got a couple more tracks here. Next up is Mr. Blackwell. This is number 5 for me. Another Gene track, of course, and I know this song gets a lot of flack from people too, but I've always loved this song. It's such a great Gene demon type song. I just love everything, just from the little scratches on the strings and those little creepy noises in between. Things like that are just is what catch me. And and it's just and I would have loved to have seen like the actual Mr. Blackwell character, to get it to even, because you kind of get sort of a picture in your mind of what this guy could be like, and with the way it sounds, and I just wish we would have seen the actual character, like what it would have, what they had thought it would have been. Yeah, just so cool. I've always enjoyed it, and like I said, unfortunately, it gets a lot of hate from people sometimes, and and I've always said, like, yes, I know it wouldn't be the best song to translate live, but it's kind of a shame that they never just pulled it out at least like once, just for the hell of it. Just even if they just did like half of it or something, would be cool.
He could do this coming out of his bass solo, do those weird little scratchy bits, and
there you go.
That would have been cool. I think I finally figured it out, actually, on this one. This is number 7 for me, and it used to be that I was one of those that didn't care for this song. There were bits of it that I liked, but there was a lot of it that I found off-putting. And suddenly, on this listen through, something snapped in my brain, and finally I understood, and it made me love this song for that, for the fact that there are bits that are off-putting. Again, it's that working towards the emotion of the story. It's the story of the bad guy. It's supposed to be off-putting. They hit the freaking nail on the head. It's supposed to make you feel a little weird and uncomfortable. You know? They got it. They did exactly what they were supposed to, and suddenly I was like, that's genius. I love this song.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would have been cool, like you said, live, like when he goes up to the thing after he does the blood, and then they just kind of go into like the first verse, and then, like, do what I want, I don't give a damn, and then just stop, and then just like go into God of Thunder there or something, just kind of mesh them together. I mean, it would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been neat.
Yeah. Javier says, speaking of killers, if the 4 new songs on there were added to Elder, do you think the storyline could have more sense? I personally don't. I don't feel like they have anything to do with the story or tell much of a story. They sound more like something that could have been on Paul's solo album per se, but a little bit better in my opinion. I personally like those 4 songs better than probably 90% of Paul's solo album, to be honest. What's on there?
Yeah. I think they would have fit well with if they had just not done a concept at all and done that straightforward, have the oath, let World Without Heroes be the quote unquote Beth of the album, and then those 4, and then write some other ones. I think that would have worked really well. But yeah, story wise, I don't know that it would have cleared anything up really.
And maybe instead of killers, like, okay, or maybe if it was still going to have the word killers, maybe it should have been live killers. Like, yeah, put those 4 new tracks, but then the rest of the album be live versions of stuff that we hadn't had yet, after Alive 2, like stuff that it came after Alive 2, live versions of that stuff. That would have been kind of cool instead of just yet another greatest hits rehash. And, the only sell point really is having those 4 extra tracks. But
right.
And I know
Speaking of that,
I'm stealing the word live killers from another band, but still, it would have made sense.
Right. Yeah. That just reminded me, I read something on the Wikipedia for the page for this album that I had never heard before, that apparently there was a Casablanca Records memo that surfaced recently that had title proposals for Music from the Elder. And some of the other ones other than Music from the Elder were Disguise the Limit, All American Guys, Ear Openers, In the Flesh, and Higher Ground.
Okay.
Yeah, not a one of those makes sense at all.
Yeah, I mean, one of those is a Stevie Wonder song. In the Flesh sounds too much like the Pink Floyd song that's on the wall. What's that one called? I forget. Something Flesh, I'm pretty sure. The other 2 just make absolutely no sense.
No. They sound like Gene doing the thing that he does, where he just throws 1,000 things at the wall and whatever sticks is what sticks.
All right. So next we have Escape from the Island. Number 10 for me. Another instrumental track. We haven't had an instrumental since the first album.
Yeah, dedicated like this.
Yeah. So, this is obviously coming in last for me. It's cool, but to me, there's not as much, really super greatness to it. Again, with the drums, this would have been a good, and of course, I think to like Car Jam, because obviously that was recorded basically around the same session or whatever. So the drum, it would have been a better time to put something like Car Jam on this album to really kind of show what Eric can do.
Yeah.
But this one just kind of serves no purpose. Like I get, like, from the title of it what it would have probably been used for in the movie or whatever. Pretty literal with the title. Don't really have to think much on that. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. And I feel like a lot of people, for some reason, I have no idea why, but there's people that just bash on Car Jam, but then they'll look at Escape from the Island and just praise it, to the ceiling. And it's like, it's cool, but I'm sorry, it does not showcase Eric as well as Car Jam does.
No.
And this was a perfect point, an opportunity that I feel like they missed.
Yeah, absolutely. This is number 5 for me. I think it is a lot because you don't hear an instrumental from them very often, and of course it was Ace's thing because we get Ace's stretching that muscle after Fractured Mirror, which not that that's specifically a Kiss song, but it's just weird to hear one. And then again, it's them hitting that conceptual nail on the head as far as whatever we could guess is going on in the story, because God only knows why the characters are escaping from an island, but it sounds escapey, it sounds
Yeah.
frantic and panicked and like, we got to get out. So it works for that. Now, another weird thing that I noticed this time that I'd never noticed before, I listened to this not on these headphones, but on my fancy, expensive headphones, and the guitar is panned all the way to the left, and then the bass is panned all the way to the right. And I really don't like that. The bass should be in the middle and then have a couple of guitars or something. It made it feel really weird. The only thing it worked toward was it felt live that way. It was probably just Eric Carr, Ace, and Bob Ezrin in the studio just knocking it out, which I can get behind that. That's cool, but weird production choice,
I mean, when it comes down to it too, it's like, it doesn't even sound like it should be on this album. Like, it doesn't sound like it goes with this whole story, this whole kind of medieval feeling story that it has and some of the songs have. And then this, it almost sounds like it should be on like Monty Python, like those old things where they're like, somebody's chasing them and they're running through all these different doorways and it's like, it's kind of what it feels like sometimes. And
That's funny.
I don't know. It's just, and then I wonder too, okay, so what's the reason why this was left off the Japanese version? What was that all about? And then, but I don't know. It's just one of them weird quizzical things. Excuse me. Javier did confirm that Pink Floyd song is actually called In the Flesh. Carolina is jumping in with his rankings already. Thank you. Under the Rose, number 1.
Absolutely. I'm putting those in right now.
Mr. Blackwell, number 2. Awesome, dude. And Escape from the Island, number 3. Wow, there you go. Excuse me. All right. Go ahead and jump into the last track here. So, of course, we end the album with I. And this is my number 6. And this is a good, another good feel good kind of, rally type song. It's another song that you can tell they were trying to get another Rock and Roll Night, shout it out loud, type of anthem. And unfortunately, it never reached that point. Well, of course, we come to find out after all these years that they had originally filmed an actual video for it and they shelved it because they didn't like it, and that finally surfaced a few years back. And I want to say, because I'm pretty sure this was on like one of those Confidential or Extreme Close-Ups, one of them videos. It was obviously a different version. It was just more of like a what was it, like a compilation type video, I believe, or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's got to be where I first heard it, and and like I say, it is catchy, it's cool, and it's another one of them things. It may sound cheesy or it may not, but I don't really care because, like I said, one of the things about Kiss that I love is I've always kind of listened to what they say and their points of view when it comes to like drugs and alcohol and whatnot. And this song, they don't pull any punches on saying some exact things about how they feel, and don't need to get wasted, only holds me down, all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, exactly, spot on. And like I said, whether people want to look at that as cheesy or whatever, I don't care. But it's one of the things that's kind of helped me all through life, on top of parents breathing down my neck. But it's like, yeah, I've always listened to how Gene and Paul especially spoke about their views on that stuff. And then again, kind of rehashing what I said at the beginning of the album, I'm not real excited about the stuff that's at the end of this after the song's over. It sounds like it should have been at the beginning of the album, or maybe even like right before Dark Light possibly would have maybe been a decent spot. But so that's how I wrap up the album there. That's number 6.
Yep. Number 8 for me. This is a good bouncy, definitely a bouncy, fun song. I thought that this one would be more fun to play live, because Sweet Pain did this one for a little while, and I expected it to be fun, and it was just it wasn't bad, but it was a bit boring.
Yeah. Especially doing the dum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum, like that would get kind of boring after a while doing that.
Yeah. I had pretty much the same note that you did. Clearly they were trying to get another Shout It Out Loud type thing, and this doesn't quite feel like they hit that mark. It's good effort, but not quite on the same level. And then, they should absolutely get rid of that dialogue. If not for that, this would be a great album closer. And it still is. It's just, I don't know. What really bothers me about the dialogue is whoever did the voice of Morpheus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's because, of course, The Matrix is going to come to mind. But when I think of a character named Morpheus, I feel like it shouldn't be this stuttering, babbling, I think you're going to like this one. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Again, hokey,
Another Monty Python character.
Yeah. And I'm not against dialogue at all, but when that character starts speaking, every time I'm like, oh, geez.
So it sounds like, according to this article I just pulled up, it's Canadian-based actors Robert Christie and Chris Makepeace and Anthony Parr, which it says Makepeace and Parr were the ones that made it onto the album as the final voices of the Council Elder and Morpheus.
Interesting. It also feels a little bit out of place because there wasn't dialogue anywhere else in the album. Now, I know that there was a lot more dialogue recorded that was eventually cut, but just the fact that this is the only time there's dialogue in the whole thing, it's just, you don't see it coming almost.
Right. And again, it's like, bought that book that Julian Gill did about the Elder, and I haven't read it yet, and I kind of wish I have now at this point, especially doing the album here, but
right,
definitely will at some point. But it makes you wonder. There's a site that compares this album to The Matrix. How fitting.
Interesting.
Yeah, it makes you wonder though, like all that stuff that got cut, is that gone forever? Are we ever going to somehow hear that someday? Kind of like, I think of it like with Kiss Meets the Phantom. We see those copies of the script that's out there, and come to find out there's all kinds of cut dialogue and scenes that they had set up in the script that obviously never appeared on the final movie. So I kind of think of it that way. Like, is there ever going to be that kind of stuff that gets put out, or and we keep hearing through the years that somebody's going to finally do the Elder movie and such, and it never happens. And I think the closest thing we've ever gotten to an official Elder is that, what was it, a comic or something?
Yeah.
Wasn't it in was it in Kissology or one of those, something like that, where they kind of did like pretty much a whole Elder comic? And that was, to me, that felt like the most official version that we'll probably ever get, and I know like there's these little things where like high school kids put on their own little version, but that's, I want more of a official with what the band had in mind and all that stuff. And,
right.
Quit treating it like the Bastard Child like they do with Phantom, because obviously people like the album. We would love to see it come to fruition, because if with the band ending, we obviously want as much Kiss as we can still get to keep the band going in some form or another. So give us that kind of material.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Javier. We'll definitely check that site out. He put the link there.
I am curious, absolutely.
Yeah, he just mentioned the school play too. Carolina ranks the album 6.5. 100,000 Watts ranks it 7.5. So getting into the rankings here, I give it a 7. And the main thing that does it, like I said, is the overall production, the mastering, just the drum sounds. The drum sound kills me. They should have sounded, because look at how Dynasty and Unmasked especially sounded, and then we get this album, and it's like, God, it sounds like he's beating on cardboard boxes or something.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God with the next album we get more than vindicated. But but for this point in time, that's a big thing that does it for me, is why I only gave it a 7. Now, again, part of me kind of prefers that original release sequence, to be honest. Because like I said, there was things like in Dark Light where I think like at the end it starts fading and you kind of hear what is the beginning of Blackwell, but yet it goes into a different song instead of Blackwell. And I think there was another one that did that too when I was listening this time, and it kind of, it just doesn't feel right. It just feels kind of like a train wreck in a way. And yeah, we all wish that they would have done a tour for this, but unfortunately that never happened. But thankfully we did get those TV performances, so we do have a decent representation of the Elder period as far as that stuff, and the official video for World Without Heroes, and now that's leaked out. But yeah, so it's definitely grown on me. Like I said, years ago, I probably would have only listened to 2 or 3 songs on here, and probably would have only ranked it like a 3 or 4, to be honest. But it's definitely getting to that point, and songs like Odyssey is definitely hit me differently than the last time we did this album. So that's I like when it happens, and I'd prefer to have differences and opinions than feeling like I'm just repeating myself every album we do from what we did last time. So it's nice when the Kiss music can hit you that way, and whether it's been a year or 2 years, whatever. So solid 7.
Right on. Yep, I went with 6 this time. And I remember the first time I heard this when I was going through the whole Kiss discography, and I was really into 80s metal and progressive metal, and concept albums were a big thing for me around that point. And I remember Dad pointed out to me, Kiss did a concept album, right? And that blew my freaking mind. Wait, what? And then going to listen to it, and again, it just blew my mind. Here's one of my favorite bands stepping outside the box and doing one of my favorite kinds of albums, even though that doesn't seem like something they would ever do. Just immediately fell in love with it. Couldn't believe when I heard people generally didn't like it. Having more context now, I lost that word for a second. It is a very strange decision they made to do this when the outcry was clearly for a more hard rock record. They claim that they were desperately trying to keep Ace in the band, but like they just shut him out almost to do this. This album does have a lot of shining moments and a lot more experimentation in the songwriting and arranging, and I think that was totally necessary for the future of their songs, the way those songs are shaped. I can't imagine what it must have been like for Eric Carr coming in and doing this as his first Kiss record, and on top of that, having to suffer Bob Ezrin replacing his parts with just some freaking guy when he was obviously perfectly suited to play whatever needed playing. Man, that would piss me off if that were me.
Right.
Here he is, this amazing drummer, arguably superior skill-wise to Peter. And his first record, he doesn't even get to play every song. And why? Just because some coked-out producer decided that he wasn't going to. I don't know. The production, speaking of coked out producer, very, very meh for me this listen through. Now, I'm not generally bothered by this album, but this time, especially listening with those headphones, it really felt lacking. The guitars felt like they were coming through a radio instead of a big Marshall stack. The drums were way too far back in the mix. The bass drum was, for most of the album, a dull thud again, the same thing I complained about with Rock and Roll Over. Where was that nice, crisp drum sound from Dynasty Unmasked? Exactly what you said. And then the other thing I noticed was the vocals really overpowered everything fairly often. They would come in and just overtake everything, and it was almost painful. It would distort the mix sometimes even. And Bob Ezrin has said not too long ago that he was really bad on cocaine at this point, and that he even regrets how he mixed this album and some of the things he pushed them to do. But overall, I like this album. I really, really do. And I know that most of what I just said was criticism and complaints, but these are songs that I listen to pretty often when I listen to Kiss. It may fall short of a couple of marks, but all in all, the songs are good and really catchy. And I think a lot of the hate this album gets really is just because it's so different from what made them huge in the 70s. No other reason, really.
Absolutely. I think had this been a non-makeup album, people would be hating on it more than they like it.
Yeah, probably.
It's like you said with Eric. I mean, I'm pretty sure that I have heard that he really was pretty bummed out about this, because he was expecting. Well, I mean, the guy just came off the Unmasked tour, even, and that was still at least a glimpse of, what we had before, and so he's expecting, to roll in and even doing something that's similar to Unmasked again. Probably would have. He probably would have been more happy with that.
Right.
And then for Ace, for this, we've heard that story so many times that it just totally broke the straw. The straw that broke the camel's back for Ace. This was like his final, okay, I've had it. This is ridiculous. And and the fact that he only had the one song, maybe that's all he wanted. He probably didn't want much to do with this. And I'm not even sure if he had written any other songs around this period that are out there in demo form or anything.
Yep. Oh man, I just thought of something else too. Something you said that triggered this memory, and I meant to mention it and I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that Car Jam 1981 was recorded in these same sessions, hearing what they were now, given we're talking about a difference in production of 10 years or so, plus Bob wasn't on so much cocaine, had probably a lot more tools at his disposal, but hearing how freaking awesome this same drum recording sounds 10 years later, knowing that the whole elder could have sounded like that, and they just didn't. Geez.
There you go. I don't know if this sounds asinine or not, but I would almost rather it sound like Hotter Than Hell than what it does sound like, to be honest, because I can at least put up with Hotter Than Hell enough where I'm like, the drums sound enough like drums to an extent, but on this, it's just they're just
They're
hiding
just
too
too
much.
dull.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying the level of drumming on here is similar to this, but it's almost like if you put out Rush's Moving Pictures and the drums are hidden and the drums sound like crap, you can't hardly hear the toms. It takes away. I don't think Moving Pictures and Tom Sawyer would have been as legendary of a song as they are today had the drums not have sounded that good.
Right. Yep, definitely shot themselves in the foot a little bit with that.
Yeah. Javier said he feels that the villain Blackwell comes in too late on the album. I agree with that too.
Yep.
Because it seems like both sequences, they stick it down very late. He also says his opinion, the best concept album of all time is The Wall. What do you think?
I think I could get behind that. Now, being in a different generation, I would be more likely, just because of my personal taste, to pick Dream Theater's Metropolis Part 2. But I would not argue that idea that The Wall is the best.
I mean, is Sgt. Pepper considered a concept? I always thought it was.
That's true. If you look at it that way, yeah. Again, similar to The Elder, doesn't tell its story very well, but it is a freaking great album from front to back.
Now, I tell you a concept I like, and again, I feel like a lot of people will just kind of blow it off. Either I don't know if it's because of the band or the style of music, but Korn's Issues album, that is a concept, and man, that's a good album. There's so many good songs on there. It's really like I feel like everyone just sort of writes it off because after Follow the Leader, it was kind of like everyone, like some reason you can't like anything after that all of a sudden. But I think it's a really good album, to be honest. It's a concept.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. I don't think I've ever heard that one.
Yeah. Yeah, Javier says Julian's book is a must read. Absolutely. He also says he believes that in the Eric Carr story book, it does say he was not happy about the. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say Paul even talked about that in his book. How Eric wasn't too happy. Crimson Idol by Wasp is another great. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, same. Definitely ought to check that out. Another one I'm really big on. It's not super well known. It's by Transatlantic. It's called The Whirlwind, and man, that album is great. Absolutely great from front to back. Kind of a more Rushy sounding, definitely progressive, but more rock than metal.
Well, speaking of Rush, I was going to say 2112. I mean, even just side one itself is basically a great concept in itself. Just that big, long, epic 2112 piece. Let alone the other stuff that's on there. There's some other great songs on there too.
Definitely.
All right. Well, I guess it's time for some true confessions here. All right, so Victor, what is your true confession?
Strong silent type.
I see. He does not like the album that much.
Right.
Real quick here, we got Mr. Watts. It was hard being a Kiss fan from 81 to 83. He grew up in the 70s and 80s. 84, everyone loved Kiss again. Same people who used to kick his ass or kick his Kiss cards out of his hand loved them after 84.
Imagine that.
Mm-hmm. Because they started blending in with that metal at the time, and they were gaining those fans back.
Yep.
All right, true confessions here for the Elder. Wow. So let me think of something I haven't already discussed. You know what? Go ahead and take this one because I definitely need to think.
Absolutely. So as far as concepts go, I think we were kind of on the right track talking about that. I'm such a big concept album guy. They are my favorite type of album, hands down. As far as concepts go, they did really well writing songs that expressed the emotion that matched at least the titles and the lyric emotions. However, I have little to no idea what this story is actually about, what happens throughout the album, and so far as I can tell, it has no real ending or climax other than the completion of the boys' training. Is Mr. Blackwell the villain? If so, why is he introduced at the end? What threat did he pose? Was he defeated? Did they think this was going to go over so well that they could do a part two or a trilogy or something? I, and I feel like I've heard that somewhere that they had pitched the idea of maybe doing a trilogy of albums based on how well this would or wouldn't go. But much as I enjoy the songs and the way the songs work towards what it seems like they're trying to say, I think they fell a little short of the mark on actual storytelling.
I can agree with that. Javier has a true confession. His is that he once hated this album, but now he listens to this more than most Kiss albums. Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm not using this as true. I'm just kind of jumping on what you said. I'm agreeing what you were saying about Blackwell, because you get the Mr. Blackwell character introduced so late in the album, and then what's immediately following that is Escape from the Island. So it's like, what? Like, he hasn't. There should have been another song,
Right.
at least, that kind of was about him too, to kind of like, oh, he's doing, something that makes you feel like, okay, like he's about to kill somebody or whatever. They need to get out of here.
Right. Like, did he capture them and they had to get off his island, or like?
It's like you get Mr. Blackwell, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
So
No, they met him at a private party, and they both, the boy and Morpheus, were like, "This guy's kind of a dick." And Morpheus is like, "Well, let's get out of here."
Wait, first let me play my flute.
Yeah.
Mike with a true confession. His is that he likes making fun of Paul and Ace. Gee, I haven't figured that out.
Nah.
But he hardly ever makes fun of Gene or Peter. Okay, that's cool, but how about a confession for the album? Something pertaining to this album.
That's true.
Carolina Scott has a true confession. He did not buy this album when it came out. It's the only time in the history of Kiss that he did not. Interesting. I think both, Mike. That's why he said he was going to get home late. He was trying to find his balls. Javier says that's why he has said that the songs on Killers would have filled in the story. Should have said that the titles of the songs on Killers could have filled in the story if they had. Yeah, I see what you mean.
That's
now.
true.
Like, had they have restructured the songs, and
Yeah.
totally. Because let's just for example say Down on Your Knees. Okay, that title to me sounds like it could have been turned into something to do with Blackwell, as far as capturing or whatever. So
Right. Nowhere to run, setting up the idea that they need to get out of there, but they're not sure how, and then escape from the island.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, Javier, that makes a lot more sense. Put it that way. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I kind of wish they would have done that. So I guess to get my little true confession, I agree with that. But I guess again, when it comes down for production, I wish that what they would have done is, for one, either remixed it themselves to make it sound better, or release, because some bands have done this in the past where they would release all the individual tracks to the fans, and you do your own mix and master of this, and the best gets whatever, and we'll release this as the album, something like that. Like give the fans or somebody the chance to make this album sound as strong as it should sound. Like Lou mentioned earlier, with the way the drums sound on Car Jam on Revenge, like give us something to that effect. I mean, come on, like it's not the same story as Hotter Than Hell. They can go back in and fix this. It's not like Hotter Than Hell where they like lost the tapes or had to whatever happened. I forget the story now, but excuse me. Mike says he actually likes this album, but don't tell Lion Man. Well, we promise. Well, I'm assuming he loves this album too because he was wanting to be on this episode, but unfortunately he's finding his balls.
It happens to all of us.
So yeah, that's really my confession for this. Is I just wish there was a way that I mean, I know there is a way, but I wish they would release a remix or at least give the fans the opportunity to do something.
Man, I would kill for the opportunity to get any Kiss albums in individual track form. Holy crap.
I wish like at least one song from The Elder had made it to like Rock Band or Guitar Hero because we had that ability to get the multi-tracks that way. And yeah, we do have some Kiss songs thanks to that. But no, it would have been cool if even one Elder song, could have done that and been like, here's what it could sound like.
Right.
But no.
Right.
So that was good. Let's get into the final tallies here, and then we'll start wrapping this thing up.
Yes, and boy, did we have some input this time. So let me kind of jump through this as quick as I can. So you guys know the drill. In addition to the two of us here on screen, we do have input from several other people here. We'll probably be getting Savannah's input. She didn't get to it this time, but I'm sure she'll end up getting in there. We got votes from Steve McGowan. He gave this album a 6 overall, and his top 3 were Under the Rose, Dark Light, and The Oath. We've got votes from Rochelle McGowan. She gave this a 6, and her top 3 were Only You, The Oath, and A World Without Heroes. We are counting votes from the last time we did this album. We got me from last time. I gave this a 7. My top 3 were World Without Heroes, Under the Rose, and The Oath. We got Eli's from last time. You gave this a 6 last time. Your top 3 were Mr. Blackwell, The Oath, and I. My dad from last time we did this, he gave this a 6. His top 3 were I, Dark Light, and World Without Heroes. Steve McGowan from last time, he gave this a 6, and his top 3 were Dark Light, Under the Rose, and The Oath. Robbie Stars from last time gave this an 8.5. Top 3, Under the Rose, Dark Light, and The Oath. We got Jay Rucker, who gave this a 4. His top 3 were Mr. Blackwell, The Oath, and Dark Light. Jay's dad gave this a 2. Ouch. His top 3 were The Oath, Mr. Blackwell, and Dark Light. Jay's uncle, who felt very strongly about this, gave it a 0.5 out of 10. Did not give us rankings.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes. Rain in Adamstown actually gave this album a 10 out of 10. His top 3 were The Oath, Under the Rose, and Only You. We're counting in Scott, Carolina Metalhead's votes, who gave this a 6.5, and his top 3 were Escape from the Island, Mr. Blackwell, and Under the Rose. Then we've got several who gave us overall scores but not individual votes. We've got a 6 out of 10 from Jacob Hicks, 10 out of 10 from Gianni Ottaviani, 8 out of 10 from Brad Holderman, 8 out of 10 from Brock McDowell, and 7.5 from Mike 100,000 Watts. So
Nice.
Put all that together. Here we are. This album ended up with a 6.4 out of 10 average overall. That's about where it was last time. I think last time we did this, it ended with 6.3. So a little bit better than last time. In 10th place this time is Fanfare / Just a Boy. Not too surprising there. In 9th place, unfortunately, Odyssey. In 8th place, I. In 7th place, Escape from the Island. In 6th place, Only You. 5th place, Mr. Blackwell. And our top 4 for this week: Under the Rose. In third place, A World Without Heroes. In second place, Dark Light. And in first place, The Oath. Now, that whole middle section, the scores are real close, so wouldn't be hard to upset that at all.
I feel like Blackwell performed better this time than it did last.
I think you're right.
Being number 5, that's impressive.
Definitely. So yeah, I'm gonna take a peek at where that was last time. Actually, I kind of forget.
Javier said there was to be spoken dialogue throughout the album. Yeah, it does feel like there should have been more.
Yeah, I remember reading that they ended up feeling like it was too hokey and cut it all out, except for the end.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Mr. Blackwell was 4 last time.
Oh, geez. Wow. Just discovered something on YouTube everyone might dig. This was uploaded 4 years ago, but apparently there is a Kiss tribute band called Dress to Kiss, and there is a video of them actually performing the entire Elder
Awesome.
makeup and costumes. So definitely going to check that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up too, so I remember. I'm curious how they did some of those parts live.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that wraps up the Elder then. So obviously, next Friday is Christmas Day, so we will not be with you next Friday again. But we will be back the following week, which will actually be New Year's Day. And the cool thing about that, we'll be able to talk about the Kiss concert that happened the night before, which actually technically I think airs at like noon here. So that's kind of cool at the same time because you ain't got to wait all day and be up late at night watching it.
Right.
So that'll be cool. But we are going to, obviously take next week off being Christmas Day itself. Everyone, of course, busy as always. But we will be back for New Year's Day. And just as a reminder, to remind everyone, we're not doing Killers next. Those 4 songs on Killers are being pulled out, placed onto the thing that we're doing at the end with all the other extra songs, and we're calling it its own album. It's the only fair way we felt to do it. So next time you see us, New Year's Day, this is going to be fun because Creatures of the Night, the mighty Creatures of the Night. So
good way to start 2021.
Yeah. So what a fun show that should be, because we're going to be able to talk all about the Kiss concert that happened the night before, and then talk about Creatures all in the same show, and hopefully, so it should be a pretty fun-filled show. I'm looking forward to it already, and cannot wait. And hopefully, we can talk about how excited we were to hear some cool deep cuts. Fingers crossed and all that good stuff. So yeah, so that's the plan. Please keep that in mind. So get your votes in for Creatures. Don't worry about the Killer stuff yet. We'll keep reminding you guys as we go along, and then of course once we get to that point, we'll definitely lay that all out for you. So anything else you want to wrap up with?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, again, thanks everyone for coming on. We love all the the interaction and all the friendships that we've made doing this show, and
absolutely
being Kiss fans. That's what makes the Kiss Army amazing. Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope everyone is safe. Doing what you can. I know the way things are. Everyone can't exactly have the big get-togethers like we're used to having, but gotta do what we gotta do, and hopefully everyone still has a good time and enjoys it. So Merry Christmas, and hopefully y'all get some cool Christmas presents, and maybe we can have some stuff to share for the next show too. People could tell us what they got, and maybe even show us what they got. So we'll see what happens. Javier, I know we're getting ready to wrap this up, but he said he changed his mind about buying the concert. We did kind of discuss that, and then we talked about it actually on the Kiss and Tell thing. But I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm you know, even if they do unfortunately do the same old set list, it's that that kind of sucks. But at the same time, it's like, hey, it's Kiss. It's going to be a cool visual show and something cool to do sitting at the house. So um, excited for it and can't wait to talk about it and everything else. So all right, so that wraps it up. Please get your votes in for Creatures and. So, Merry Christmas once again. Happy New Year. Everyone stay safe. We'll see you here the week after next. Take care. Bye.